Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Andrew. As always, I hope you're keeping very well. I'm just going through some comments right now and I see we have a few new jump ropers. A few people started jumping this past week and reached out to me, and it's always great to hear from beginners, and it's very relevant to the quote from the composer Frédéric Chopin that I shared at the beginning of this video. If you're a beginner, it's absolutely normal to experience some frustration. I distinctly remember when I first really started making a concentrated effort to learn how to jump rope. I was so excited. I went into a store. My fiance was with me. I bought a jump rope. I was so excited that as soon as we left the store, right then and there on the sidewalk, I opened the package up and I tried to jump rope. And it wasn't a pleasant experience. I was absolutely brutal. I was jumping so high off the ground. When I landed on the ground, I landed with a thud to the point that it was almost painful. I wasn't swinging the rope using my wrists. I was using my arms. I was hunched over at my back. I couldn't jump rope basically for more than a few seconds in a row without either being tired because I was jumping so high, bending my knees so high, landing on the ground with force, which is draining, and the rope was just getting caught in my legs as well. I was doing what a lot of beginners do, which is the double bounce. So with each rotation of the rope, I was jumping twice as opposed to just jumping once. So I was jumping high up on the ground, I would land on the ground, and then I'd immediately do a little hop again to clear the rope. And that just boils down to a lack of familiarity with the activity, a bit of uncomfortableness. My timing was off. I had no rhythm at all. I couldn't time the rotations of the rope to know when exactly to jump. I couldn't time the spinning of the rope. I was either spinning too fast, too slow, or maybe one hand was too dominant when spinning the rope. So a few factors added together made it difficult to jump rope. And the funny thing is, my fiance, I gave her the rope and she was able to jump rope effortlessly. She was only doing the 2-foot hop, but she made it look so graceful. She was only jumping an inch or two off the ground and she was spinning the rope using mostly her wrists. So I looked at her. Of course, I was proud of her, happy for her, but I felt very frustrated at myself because there I was an athletic person, but I just could not grasp jumping rope. But I knew that if I stuck with it, if I practiced persistently, and if I was patient, I knew I would get the hang of it. And gradually over time, that's exactly what happened. My technique improved, my timing improved, I was jumping lower off the ground. And there's an idea that the Japanese refer to as shoshin, or beginner's mind. When we start an activity, so if you're new to jumping rope, and if you're watching this video and you haven't jumped rope, I highly encourage you to go out and get a jump rope. It's so much fun and there are tremendous health benefits. And remember, your jump rope journey begins with a single jump. So maybe after watching this video, you can go to a sporting goods store if possible, or order a jump rope online and get started. It's a fantastic activity. So going back to this idea of shoshin, the beginner's mind. When you begin an activity like jump rope, for me it was extremely frustrating. I was making mistake after mistake. The rope was constantly getting caught in my legs, and I felt like I was not going to be able to learn this activity initially. I knew in my mind, though, if I kept practicing, I would learn it. But when you're constantly making mistakes, you get so frustrated and you think to yourself, am I ever going to learn this? And that's extremely humbling. When you're a beginner at something, it takes a certain level of courage, especially if you're participating in a group setting, because you're constantly making mistakes in front of others. So you need a strong character. That takes a good bit of self-esteem to make mistakes in front of others, not feel bad about yourself. Just know that it's part of the learning process. So when we're beginners, It's a very humbling experience. We're not focused on proving ourselves. So if we reach an advanced level, sometimes too much ego can be involved. We want to display our skill by performing particular tricks or moves. But when we're beginners, we're not focused on that. We're more concerned with just the doing and learning. And it's a very humbling experience. So once we learn a skill, we get very good at it. It's always nice to go back to the moves that you learned at the very beginning. So in my case, the 2-foot hop, the boxer skip. Every time I perform the boxer skip or the 2-foot hop, I get a tremendous sense of joy and gratitude, because at one point, those same moves that I now find extremely easy, they were once extremely challenging. What is now easy was once I considered very advanced. So anytime I do those moves, I get a great sense of satisfaction, gratitude, knowing where I am now and where I've come from. Going back to the beginner's mind. When we start something, we're so enthusiastic. We're just so keen to make progress. And it's good to remember our attitude that we had at the beginning. We're so full of curiosity. We think there's so much that we can learn. Later on, when we practice something for a long time, sometimes we get to a point where we think, what else can I learn? But there's always room for improvement. There's always room for growth. If we adopt that type of beginner's mind, we're always being curious, always being grateful, humility. So the movie Warrior that I mentioned there at the beginning of this video, if you're a fan of MMA, mixed martial arts, I think you will particularly like that movie. And even if you're not, there's some very powerful scenes in that movie with Nick Nolte, who plays the father of the two boys, or the two men that you saw in the photo at the beginning. And speaking of Warrior, you might have noticed the hoodie I'm wearing. It has the Way of the Jump Rope Warriors logo on the back of it and a jump roper on the front. I actually made this hoodie a few months ago, almost out of necessity. But this is the first time I've actually worn it in a video, because I'm not so keen on promoting stuff, but it's getting cold now. It's winter time here where I am. And getting back to the idea where I made it out of necessity. I had been living in Asia, and I had planned a trip to Ireland in the summertime. And because it was warm in Asia and it was warm in Ireland, I actually didn't bring too many pieces of clothing for this trip, especially sweaters or jumpers, because it was still warm, and I was planning on going back to Asia shortly. But because of COVID, I was unable to travel back to Asia where most of my clothes were. So I knew the weather would be getting cool enough soon, especially in the evenings. Even though it wasn't winter at the time, winter would be fast approaching, and the evenings were starting to cool down a little bit. So I knew I was going to have to get some warm clothing, some jumpers. So I said, you know what, this is a perfect time to make my own sweater that I can wear, when I'm out and about in the house or when I'm jumping rope. So that's exactly what I did. And I also needed a new phone case. So I put the same the Way of the Jump Rope Warriors logo on a phone case for my iPhone. So, and I'm absolutely delighted with these products, the phone case, the sweater, and I also made a few t-shirts that I can wear when I jump rope. So if you're interested in checking these pieces of clothing or accessories out, I'll provide a link or links down below in the description. At the beginning of this video, you may have noticed that there were two logos, the same Jump Rope Warriors logo, but in the top image there was a female in the letter O, jumping rope, and in the bottom one there was a male. When I first designed that logo several years ago, I designed it with a male and with a female, because the idea of a warrior, it has nothing to do with gender. To me, it's all about mindset. We all have an inner warrior, I believe, that we can tap into. A warrior to me symbolizes certain characteristics, positive characteristics. Some people, when they hear the word warrior, they have maybe negative connotations. They think that it suggests war, fighting, or battles. But we don't need an enemy or a war to be warriors. We can just possess certain attributes, such as discipline, try new things, facing challenges, not giving up. So in terms of jump rope, when we first start learning jump rope, it can be very frustrating. Many times we might want to give up, but if we just keep pushing forward, we will make progress. Even if you get more advanced, you try more advanced moves or tricks, there will be times when you want to give up, but you have to remember where you've come from and what you're capable of. If you don't give up, it's tremendous what you can accomplish, and every small victory that we make propels us even further. So discipline. You might have your own battles, maybe not against someone, but there's this idea that oftentimes the biggest battle in our lives can be against ourselves. Former Navy SEAL David Goggins once said, the biggest battle that many people have going on is the one in between their ears. We can be often our biggest critics. We have a lot of maybe negative self-talk. We criticize ourselves. We don't believe in ourselves. If we use something like jump rope in terms of self-improvement, we can use jump rope to better ourselves. The name of this channel, The Way of the Jump Rope. When I was younger, I saw a Bruce Lee movie called The Way of the Dragon, and I became really interested in this concept of the way. So I read about it, and I learned about other practices that use this idea of the way. For example, the samurai, the way of the samurai, Bushido, or the Japanese tea practice of Sado, or archery. I came to learn that this notion of the way means the path, doing something, a process of becoming. So using martial arts or another activity to become a better version of ourselves for self-development. So maybe your war is not against anyone. It can just be against ourselves. Maybe you start jumping rope because you have a battle against bulge. Maybe you're carrying excess weight, so you use the jump rope to lose some weight. Maybe you use the jump rope because you have maybe high blood pressure, high blood sugar, so you're trying to fight that, you're trying to reduce that. And by making improvements with ourselves, we can jump rope, for example, and we learn something, that a move, or we learn a trick that we once thought was extremely difficult, but we don't give up, we keep practicing, and then we learn it. It gives us a tremendous boost in our confidence. And then we try another trick, we learn that. And through these small victories, we realize we actually do have tremendous potential, tremendous capability. And then you might use that positivity, that energy, towards other areas in your life. So we can use the jump rope as a tool for positive development. So that's just a little brief talk about the name of this channel, The Way of the Jump Rope. The Jump Rope Warriors, the idea behind that logo, the name of the channel. All right, well, I really hope you have enjoyed this video. I'll be making a lot more soon. Thanks for watching.